The Homeric epics formed the foundation of ancient Greek culture and education. Beyond their literary excellence, they created a link between the ancient Greeks and their Bronze Age ancestors. For centuries, audiences delighted in tales of heroic deeds and legendary battles. Alongside the epic tradition, the Greeks also developed the literary genre of parody. The word parodia literally means a song sung alongside another, or more accurately, a counter-song. In practice, a parody was a poem that imitated an existing work while adopting a far more playful, whimsical, and humorous tone. Rather than attacking the original work, it playfully imitated its style to create a light-hearted and comic effect. The only surviving epic parody from antiquity is The Battle of Frogs and Mice, a short poem that parodies Homer's Iliad. It employs Homeric Greek and features epic speeches, preparations for battle, divine assemblies, and vivid descriptions of combat. For much of antiquity, the poem was attributed to Homer himself. During the Roman period, some attributed it to Pyrrhus of Caria, who was said to have lived in the 5th century BC. Today, however, the poem is generally believed to have been composed during the late Hellenistic period. It remained popular throughout antiquity and the Byzantine era, where it often served as an introductory text for students before they studied the Iliad and the Odyssey. And with that, let us turn to the story itself. One day, a mouse named Psiharpax, the crown snatcher, stopped beside a lake to quench his thirst after narrowly escaping a cat. There, he encountered Physignathos, the Puffjaw, the king of the frogs. The two introduced themselves, proudly boasting of their noble ancestry and the virtues of their respective ways of life. Physignathos then invited the mouse to visit his home, promising to carry him safely across the lake upon his back. Psiharpax agreed, climbed onto the frog's back, and Physignathos began swimming swiftly across the lake. Suddenly, a great and fearsome water snake emerged from the water, terrifying both animals. Panicking, Physignathos dived beneath the surface to save himself, leaving Psiharpax struggling helplessly in the lake. Just before drowning, the unfortunate mouse cried out, "O Physignathos, you shall not go unpunished for this treachery. You threw me a castaway of your body as from a rock. Vile coward! On land, you would not have been the better man, boxing or wrestling or running. But now you have tricked me and cast me into the water. Heaven has an avenging eye, and surely the host of mice will punish you and not let you escape." Another mouse, Lycopinax, the dish licker, happened to be on the banks of the lake and witnessed Psiharpax's death. Distraught by what he saw, he hurried to gather the mice together and inform them of the event. Psiharpax's father, Troxartes, the bread nibbler, consumed by rage, urged the mice to ready themselves for war. Thus it was decided, and the mice began arming themselves in preparation for battle. As the author narrates, first they fastened on greaves and covered their shins with green bean pods broken into 2 parts which they had gnawed out, standing over them all night. Their breastplates were of skin stretched on reeds, skillfully made from a cat they had flayed. For shields, each had the centerpiece of a lamp, and their spears were long needles, all of bronze, the work of Eris, and the helmets upon their temples were peanut shells. The mice dispatched a herald named Ambasicitros, the pod visitor, to deliver the following message to the frogs. "Frogs, the mice have sent me with their threats against you, and bid you arm yourselves for war and battle, for they have seen Psiharpax in the water, whom your king Physignathos slew. Fight them, as many of you as are warriors among the frogs." The frogs began accusing their king of the crime. However, he deceitfully replied, "Friends, I killed no mouse, nor did I see one perishing. Surely he was drowned while playing by the lake and imitating the swimming of the frogs, and now these wretches blame me, but I am guiltless. Come then, let us take counsel how we may utterly destroy the wily mice." And so the frogs started preparing for war. They covered their shins with leaves of mallows and had breastplates made of fine green beet leaves and cabbage leaves skillfully fashioned into shields. Each one was equipped with a long pointed rush for a spear and smooth snail shells to cover their heads. Then they stood in close locked ranks upon the high bank, waving their spears. Zeus, the king of the gods, witnessed the events unfolding and called for a council on Olympus to determine whether they would support the mice or the frogs. The gods collectively decided not to intervene on either side, choosing instead to observe the conflict from afar. Zeus threw a great thunderbolt from the sky, and thus the battle commenced. Many brave warriors from both sides took part in this battle. Among them were Lecanor, the Licker, Ternoglyphus, the Ham-nibbler, Hypsiboas, the Loud Croaker, and Craugacides, the Horse Croaker. There was great bloodshed, and both sides suffered numerous casualties. The frog king Phesignathos was wounded by Troxartes, Psiharpax's father. Phesignathos, seeking escape, plunged into the lake and fled by swimming away from the battlefield. In the heat of the battle, the great hero of the mice, Meridarpax the Sly Snatcher, was summoned, and he vowed to exterminate the frogs. Upon his arrival, the frogs scattered in fear, fleeing from his formidable presence. The rest of the mice rallied behind him and launched an unrelenting pursuit of the frogs. However, upon noticing this, the gods decided to intervene, realizing that if Meridarpax were to continue unchecked, the frogs would undoubtedly be annihilated. Zeus hurled a thunderbolt from the sky to scatter the frogs and the mice. Despite the initial shock, the mice carried on their pursuit, and so Zeus had to take further action. He summoned from the depths of the lake the great warrior crabs equipped with dreadful weapons. The crabs assaulted the mice and gnawed at their feet, causing them to flee in terror. Thus ended the battle of frogs and mice.